2021 has been an incredible year for investors. There's been a lot of different sectors that have been absolutely on fire. None more, arguably, than the health and wellness, but especially plant-based companies. A lot of people are turning focus to their health. They're trying to find ways of finding things to boost their immune systems, give them more energy, and doing it naturally as well. That's one reason why we're bringing on Rritual Superfoods CEO David Kerbel. We're going to be discussing about their company that just went public, more so in the functional mushrooms and adaptogens section, which Whole Foods was saying is the #1 food trend for 2021. There's a good reason why we're bringing you on today, David. And without further ado, welcome, a good man.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Absolutely. And it's been an absolutely crazy start to this year. The stock market's been going crazy. We've seen a lot of these plant-based companies and things that are similar like that getting incredible valuations as their market reach and their expansion into North America has been fantastic. But before we start going into those different areas, I'd like to get a little bit of an introduction on yourself. Many people may not have met you before. You actually have a very long 30-year career in the CPG market. If you don't mind, give me a little bit background on yourself and maybe some of the companies that you worked with before coming to Rritual.
Sure, be glad to. Well, again, thank you very much for the time. I'll give you, it's a 35-year career. Started off with Procter & Gamble right out of school in Boston, Massachusetts. So if you hear the New England, that's where it's from. And worked there for 12 years. Loved the big brand experience, got to know retailers really well in the brick and mortar space. Then went to work with Crossmark, which is a multinational sales agency. And again, got to know more retailers, more how big brands and small brands really react and what's needed to bring them to market. Got the entrepreneurial itch and jumped into Celsius Beverage, which is actually a publicly traded company. We were fortunate enough to be on the team of that and bring it. Today, it's a $4.5 billion USD market cap and traded on NASDAQ. When we took that public, took the proceeds that I made and started my own business, really focusing in on emerging brands. Had the ability and opportunity to take another company public as president, an e-cigarette company. Sorry, I'm still paying penance for that. And enjoyed that, really understood what it takes to not only bring a company public, but really add value to the team internally, as well as the stakeholders and the stockholders externally. About a year ago, I sought Rritual out. I sought out the founders of Rritual because I really thought that this was something happening and something coming up. We have been at this for now a year. And again, to your point, we've got some great news to share as we will. But that's my 35-year career. Big brands, emerging brands, retail, e-commerce, global, and a lot of fun along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love hearing that too, because obviously you need the experience throughout the sector. You need experience with emerging brands, which, functional mushrooms is definitely one of that. Not many, you say that, not many people will understand what exactly you mean by that. We're going to get to that in a second as well. But also the capital markets experience that you've had as well. I think that really builds a great foundation. And we're going to go over your team in just a moment as well, because you've got a stellar team that you put together. But before that, going back to the functional mushrooms aspect, can you just explain just really quickly for investors why you chose functional mushrooms and adaptogens as the core products for your company?
Sure. It's the trend. It's what the consumer is demanding. An old Procter phrase I'll steal, get products right the first time. And we've done that with this formulation as we talk about the team. But it's really three main items that we started with. This is the foundation that we're starting with. So it's chaga mushrooms that boost the immune system. It's lion's mane, that's that cognitive function. And it's reishi to help de-stress and relax. But what makes us different, and we'll talk about this as we go here, is that we've got these natural, organic, plant-based mushrooms, and we've added these natural, organic herbs and adaptogens to really focus in on what the end result is, what that function is. So if you're stressed, you take reishi and it kind of relaxes you. But in addition to the reishi mushroom, we've got the ashwagandha root. In addition to the lion's mane, that really helps the cognitive function. We've got rhodiola root as our adaptogen. And with chaga, in addition to that, we've got eleuthero root. So all of these things combined together gives us that really unique property that really functions well.
Yeah, absolutely. And for investors as well, we're going to be doing another interview. So be sure to be looking at our YouTube channel with Stacy, who you're going to go a little bit more into detail with her when we talk about your management, who's going to go over those products and really go into detail about, all the ingredients that went into there, why you chose them, what it can do for your body. So I'm really excited for that interview where we can get, more depth into that as well. But continuing with this, I know a lot of investors, they love to hear that they've got experience at the head of the company. They love to hear a product that, Whole Foods, which is a massive brand, is calling to be the number one trend in 2021 from the food and health and wellness side of things. But another thing they want to know is sales. Where is this distribution network going to be going? I know you can't necessarily say the exact companies just yet, but when you're about to, really start pushing forward throughout North America, where's that distribution channel going to look like? What states you're going into? Are you going to be in Canada? Are you going to be around the world? Can you go a little bit more into detail about what that's going to look like for investors, both right now, but in the coming weeks and months as well?
Sure. And I feel really proud about this. So it was something that our retail distribution is going to be coast to coast in the US. We'll get Health Canada approval in April, so Q3 will be in distribution in Canada. But to start off, we promised investors as we talked with them 2,400 doors and 10,000 points of distribution. And we've got commitments for 2,500 doors and 13,000 points of distribution, and we're just getting started. So we'll be coastal in the US. We'll focus as we go with our organic and our non-GMO and our really good preparation here. We'll be in Canada once we get Health Canada certification, and then we'll be good to go in the EU and then Asia Pacific and really on that global footprint.
Yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate that because you mentioned in your deck actually about that 3-stage global launch and getting out there, and that's what people want to hear. They want to know, yes, you've got those deals, but also you want to continue to expand and continue to grow, and in order to do that, you need the right management in place. And this is where I'd like to ask the question about, you've got some stellar people on there with a lot of background in their given field. Can you go over a few of the key people that you've put together with your management team to take this company public, but also to take it through the stratosphere as well?
Yeah, thank you. And the team I'm most proud of. The team we put together are all CPG, consumer packaged goods veterans that have been involved with health and wellness, been involved, in my case, our VP of sales and I started with Celsius together. So we've got a nice connection and an understanding of that. But really the CEO is myself. COO, our Chief Operating Officer, Warren Spence, has got 25 years of CPG experience with Red Bull, with Naked Beverage. So really good, stellar brands with big depth and understanding and certainly broad distribution. Stacy Gillespie, who you'll talk to tomorrow, and she's our Chief Formulating Officer. What's really cool about Stacy is you walk a store, and really the whole team, you walk any grocery store in North America, and you can't walk anywhere into that store without touching some of the products that we help develop. So myself and Stacy, Warren, we've got Peter, who you'll talk to tomorrow, our CMO, and Peter's just done a wonderful job at mapping out where the opportunities are, and we're going to put a heat map together. We'll talk about our marketing in a minute or two. And our sales team, again, we've got a 15-year experience with the sales team. So we understand what customers to plot out with, how to really support them, and how to really, again, get that education out there so that investors that start in with us really see that rapid growth, see us hit our milestones, and then see us with the opportunity to expand not only throughout North America, but globally.
Absolutely. And I love hearing that because, personally, I'm an investor in the company as well. I like to invest in the companies that, stand out to me. And this is one of them, hence why we're doing this interview as well, because I think this does have a lot of premise to it and a lot of promise as well. But you just spoken about, your CMO and getting the message out there. And that's another thing that's always on investors' minds. It's not just from an investor standpoint, how you can do that marketing, which is part of the question I'd like to ask, but also how you're going to get the consumer awareness out there as well. So if you can touch on that for a moment, if you don't mind.
Sure. I'll give you one example. So what Peter's done here is created an environment utilizing Google searching and SEO, as we refer to it. But what's fascinating here is that 3 million folks a month are looking up, why am I tired? What's causing me stress? Why am I not feeling well? And we focus that out till we can get all the way down to the postal code, or in the States, we call it the zip codes of where these consumers are. We tie that into where our retail partners are in the cities and counties and states they're in, and we can map out specifically, pinging in those folks that are interested here and driving them to that store. So if you would, it's a heat map that we've created here that is going to focus where folks are in need and looking for a healthy alternative for their mental and physical fitness, and share them where the stores are in their area where they can buy Rritual Superfoods. So I think that's brilliant on Peter's part. It shows just what he can do well. It also gives our retailers that second layer. So that's pushing consumers into their stores, which is what they always want. They want that foot traffic in those stores. So it's understanding their needs, understanding our consumer needs and desires, and mapping those out together.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you don't mind, just a moment for when it comes to the marketing to investors now. That's the biggest thing as a new company that's just gone public, is the awareness for investors to know about your company and know how to invest in you. What are you doing on the marketing front to really push that out to the various investors across North America and really the world?
Yeah, and we are putting a lot of time and effort into our PR. Certainly to talk to you and to share our message here. I'm getting on as many of these calls as I possibly can to share with the investment world. RSF, by the way, is our stock symbol, and we're looking forward to great things in the year to come. But we're really doing it twofold. Number one, we're focusing in on building our brand, and we're focusing in on making sure that all of our investor opportunities are going to be touched. I'll follow that up with, I really believe that I'll be at least weekly, maybe even more than once a week, getting on programs, hopefully like yourself, and chatting about our successes and our milestones. We want to scream that from the mountaintops. I think as an investor, I've always wanted to understand what the company is doing and how they're getting the message out there. The best way that I can do that here is to share our successes. And they're going to be quite a few. And I've got enough content right now to be talking about success stories every single week for the next couple months at least right now. So we've got lots to tell that we're holding back on right now because we can't share the retailers' names until the product hits the shelves. And I think that you'll understand that's fair. But we plan on doing this as much as possible, sharing with our investors, sharing our success, and really being bold and wanting to share our milestones.
Absolutely. And what you said is very important. I'm not sure how many investors will catch on to that. And I appreciate that, because the reason both Wes and I started doing this with Sagacity and just in general as an investor 5 years ago was because we didn't see that communication between the executives and retail investors. Maybe they were talking to institutionals, maybe they were doing large luncheons we had to pay a lot of money to get to and things like that. But in the new age world, people want access to information, and having that openness, having that transparency, it not only shows a lot towards your character, so I appreciate that, and I'm hoping that investors do as well, but also it allows both the investor and yourself to communicate when a news release comes out, when some sort of milestone is hit. What does that mean? What's the significance? Why is this a big deal? All those things help you better understand the story, not just now, but as it develops as well. So I appreciate that very, very much. If I can get one last thing out of you before we end the interview today, if you were to choose a certain catalyst or something that's coming up in the near future that you're the most excited about, either but for yourself and or for investors, what would that be?
Well, when we see the product on the shelf, I mean, that's going to be just an amazing start. It's not the culmination, but it's a reformation is what it is of the hard work that we've got and the teams put together here. So when we see the product on the shelf, when we see our first data as it pulls off the shelf, those will be the high points to start our journey again and to make sure that we're doing everything that we can for our stakeholders, our teammates, our retailers, and most importantly, our stockholders.
Well, David, I just want to thank you once again for your time. You're public now. I can only imagine how many more interviews you have lined up, but also just in the weeks to come as everyone's trying to know who is Rritual Superfoods and who's the man behind it and the team behind it. So I just want to thank you once more, and I look forward to being able to do these as you continue to the weeks go by and you continue to have milestones to having you on here and just talking about that and giving that transparency for investors. So thank you once again.
Pleasure.